Well, here I am again, already doing another one. Why not? In my last story on how women rape, I went over how a 14-year-old molested me twice. Minor molestation, nonetheless, a molestation, so an assault. All right, I guess it'd be trigger. And how another girl, had us boys strip around. Right, that's my little story on that. Right. You should see the Marley painting, though. It's not really coming along. I've only been tapping it for 10 minutes. Here, I'll show you. Thank you. So it's going to look like a cartoon character. Okay, so this particular ramble now is a little bit of an extension off of that story. So it's two things, right, that I wanted to get at in this. Right, because of the whole Me Too movement and rape culture, the idea of rape culture, right? First of all, like Steven Crowder says, we don't live in a rape culture, but by that he means we don't live in a culture that condones this behavior and that it's still illegal, and if anyone's caught, we persecute it, which is different than saying a culture, like a biological culture, like a petri dish culture, where rape occurs. Right, and it might occur as kind of a latent behavior that emerges, right, and to be defined at like that, and in terms of rape culture, that's an interesting way to put it. But then in that case, we also live in a non-rape culture, right? There's more of a proliferation of non-rape than there is of rape, but nonetheless, okay. So what I've done, I haven't not done nefarious shit in my life, but by nefarious meaning underhanded, little bit of backstabbing, a little bit of revenge. But this particular story is more about talking, pretending I'm somebody online, pretending through data that I'm a woman, right? And chatting with a woman about her upcoming date with me, with Mimi, right? Because I got cued in that this woman and I were going to go on a date, and my fake character made me look very, 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 very tempting in terms of like being the right guy. That this woman, as a gold digger, was in for a treat, because if she could nail me, boy, she would get all of this stuff, right? Anyway, so just that alone was nefarious on my part. But what it revealed was her plans to get me drunk, like get me really drunk and get me high and get on me, right? That was noted, right? So I thought, holy shit, right? Like, holy shit, this is fucked up, right? But this is what I meant by my last video, that women, you're as nefarious as guys. You can't put it past me. I won't let any damn woman generalize women and tell me that there's not a large segment of women that do fucking nefarious shit sexually and even attempt to do shit. The whole Bill Cosby drugging and raping, women are not beyond drugging men and raping them. Okay, so there's that. Another sexual incident. I guess there was a third. Right. Once this woman, I had just barely met her. Right. Talk about sexual assault. Right. We begin making out. We begin getting together, and we were getting together. We started having sex, and first time was interesting. She came over the second time to have sex, and I'm into really esoteric personalities. I think they're weird, but this woman was off the fucking hook. But anyway, so it was a cowgirl position, me on bottom, and this is since I broke my feet, right? So that almost has to be, it's kind of a default position. But I remember her getting on top and we're kind of going at it. And then she just hauls off and starts close fisting my face like a ritual. And then she open fists and then she close fist like she's wanting to beat the shit out of me. Like it's part of her violent sexual fantasy. We hadn't talked about it. I'm not into the violent thing. I'm not into sadism, masochism. I'll hurt myself when I want. That's my business, right? But someone else beating the shit out of me, that's just fucking crazy, right? So immediately I said, "Look, I'm not the fuck into this, and you can go now, right? Like you didn't qualify this. We didn't agree to this. You just thought somehow it was good that while we were having sex, you could start fucking beating the shit out of me, right?" And so I just, she got all kind of like up in a tiff and da da da. And I'm like, whatever, get the fuck out. We're done. I don't want to see you. I'm not into this. And that basically I was assaulted while having sex, right? That's sexual assault, plain and simple. It's a fact. Um, anyway, my further follow up, more historic, was when I was in high school, when I've been at concerts, and when I was in college, right? These time periods um, allowed for lots of trafficking humans to move, in college corridors and concerts and crowded venues, right? I have had many times. I shouldn't say many, but probably close to 10 times that I've had my dick grabbed by random women, right? Just walking by. They'll just reach in and just grab your dick and then they'll walk off, right? And so you turn around and they know who they are and they'll dart off, right? And you don't know what the fuck, right? And I'm like, I'm not trying to bolster myself, it just happens to be a fact that has happened and that has happened a few times. Now, do you trust me? Right? Like with the whole Ford Kavanaugh argument, I'm making this declaration. I'm saying it happened. I've had my ass grabbed, I've had my crotch grabbed. Um, and all these instances, I'm being sincere. I'm telling you what the fuck happened, right? And so anyway, just that being said, right? Like I grew up where catcalls were acceptable, right? They were even appreciated in a lot of cases if you went right? Back in the day, that meant you were complimenting somebody on their looks. And then, ay, 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 meant more like, hey, come back, right? They'd even make jokes about it. Like some women, like, what? They catcalled me and they're driving by. What do they think? I have a chain in my back pocket and I'm just going to, with like a hook on it, and I'm just going to throw it on their bumper and let them pull me along. Is that what these men catcalling me are all about? And it's like, no, ladies, you're being complimented, and the guy just feels this. Machismo is like the expression, a passionate expression outward, right? And I have no problem with it. I still have no problem with it. I don't believe that catcalling is a form of harassment. I don't believe that. I think harassment would be something like like a rape gang that doesn't rape. So somebody like surrounding a girl or a boy or somebody in a pool and harassing them, right? Or getting them to move, under duress is a type of harassment, right? And then assault is when the actual physicality begins and of any genital or breast grabbing, that's the assault limit. And then rape, that's the intercourse, right? And so anyway, that's my whole point, right? I'm just saying that women, once again, you're sexual creatures. You have your desires. Some of you probably really hate this. And in one way, I think a lot of the pushback might be a functioning cover up for all of the sexual activity that you've put out, right? Like a lot of times, like in marriages, right? Um, Somebody will accuse their spouse of having an affair, not because their spouse had an affair, but because they had an affair. And they're making the accusation as if to equalize the scenario before they disclose what they've done, right? That kind of shit. And so, in one way, I almost think the Me Too movement, part and parcel. I'm not saying women haven't had their share. I mean, every individual has what they have in terms of experience. But I do think there might be this idea of we're going after men in a way to cover up their own personal misgivings, right? And or their own personal misconduct or their own personal law breaking, right? So once again, women planning to drug me, women beating the shit out of me, or woman beating shit out. Woman, I'll singularize this: woman planning to drug me, woman beating me, and plenty of differing women throughout college and at concerts in public and so forth, grabbing me. So there, right now. Oh, poor little me. I'm a guy, and I am a guy, and I am a guy that likes sex, and I like sex with women. I didn't take it like, even I didn't take the grabs like necessarily offensive, more like shockingly, like, oh, ooh, but not necessarily liking it either, right? But in other cases, I'm like, wow, I know that somebody likes me enough to grab me, and that so then I'm maintaining that male position that's just an indicator that women can give men that they want to have sex. Where if it's in reverse, it can be looked at differently. But I've also spoken with plenty of women over the years that have gone to concerts and they've had their tits grabbed like by random passerbys because it's too crowded or something like that, right? And some of them get really pissed off, and other ones take it the same way that I took my random grabbing, which was that this was a compliment, right? And they had interpreted that way. So now the reframing, the recontextualization, the no more we're drawing a line sort of thing that's going on between, genders and race and classes and nations and peoples and just whatever the minutia is of the argument. This once again is just me saying, hey, ladies, you don't get a pass. You've done this shit. You do this shit. We know you do this shit. Maybe I shouldn't say we know you do this shit, but there's a large class of guys that also know you do this. So there should be catch a predator, I think, and it's probably really rare, right? I think you catch more female teachers after the sex act fucking something up on social media than you would getting a woman in a chat forum chatting with like a 14-year-old boy agreeing to go to his place and have sex, right? But it would be interesting to have a show just featured nailing women that do that shit. Okay, that being said, cheers out, and woman don't cry. I remember eating porridge in Trenchtown. Then we went